We're on the same side.
When I woke up this morning, I was feeling pretty dangerous.
One about the past and one about the future.
What's up? Welcome back to Draftvice. I'm Walter. We are here with my friend DJ Intence, a.k.a. Kevin Fraser, everybody.
How y'all doing, man? What's going on, baby?
And we are here. We're talking about the Super Bowl, everybody.
Mm-hmm. What a wonderful Super Bowl that was this year.
It went quick.
Very quick.
It was fast. Like I blinked and it was 10 o'clock, and I'm like, oh, I can go to sleep now. The game is over. People were still at the house. They're like, wait, this is done? What are we doing?
It was funny. It was one of those Super Bowls where it went by so quickly and you didn't want it to end. But because it went by so fast and whoa. I feel like sat more to the halftime show than the game itself.
The only part I really remember from the game was the halftime show. Everything was going by so quick. It was like, what, 2 punts in the first half?
It was a blur.
I was like, it's like 8 o'clock and like they're already at halftime. I'm like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
It was a fast game. Even for two teams that had very good defenses, it just kept moving. And they were, even though they only got like what? I think it was 10. It was 10-10 at the half.
Yes,
right?
10-10 and a half. It was 7-3 in the first quarter with Casey up, and then 10-10 by halftime.
And when they got to the half, I mean, like this. So if you don't know, we're going to clue you in. Spoiler alert: Kansas City wins.
Yeah, in case you didn't sleep under a rock or something.
Yeah, this is your first exposure. You're like, what's a Super Bowl? Or Superb Owl, as that meme goes. Like, okay, all right. Well, we're
make me die over here.
We found, all right, these Superb Owls. No, it was actually, it's a game. It's called football.
Yes.
But yes. So what happened is that the Chiefs won, and I think the first half is what dictated it, because even though the Chiefs, it was tied 10-10 at the half.
Yes.
San Francisco had an opportunity to take this game over.
Yes, they did. They should have.
And by the way, they were winning going into the fourth quarter.
They had a 96 or 94% probability of winning in the fourth quarter, and they squandered it away.
Two Super Bowls that Kyle Shanahan's been involved with where they had like one of the biggest leads going into the fourth quarter, and they lost.
First one against New England. 28-3.
It's 2 years ago.
New England stormed back and won a chip, and then this year with San Fran when they were up.
And this one was a weird one, right? Like it was, I was like, oh, there's no way they're coming. And I listen. If you have listened to this podcast, if you listen to me speak, I was like, I think Kansas City's going to win.
Oh yeah,
and because I don't think you could ever count them out, and that's what ended up happening here.
Oh yes, yeah.
This is like a couple years ago where it's like you could not count them out.
No. It's never say die. I've been told this quote by my friends numerous times. When the clock hits 0-0, that's when the game is over. It's never over when it's still time left, and Kansas City proved that again. You playing to the final whistle of the game, because the way they were going that second half, it could have been for a doozy where a blowout was about to happen soon enough.
Because again, like I'm watching this game, and first off, I think this all goes back to the first half control, right? Like,
yes,
you had 3 timeouts. It's a 2-minute warning. San Francisco has the ball, and all of a sudden I blink, and they have 16 seconds left, and they have 2 timeouts, and they're just taking a knee at the end, and I'm like, what the heck happened?
Yeah. Oh, trust me. The two most important plays I see teams, especially good ones, the end of the first half, beginning of the third. If you can score at the end of the first and then you score the beginning of the third, more chances than not you're going to win the game.
Yes.
And the 49ers didn't do neither of them, which didn't help their case at all.
Well, and then the other thing was going for it on fourth down.
Oh, yeah.
Which Andy Reid did,
yes.
Which was a shocker. Anybody who went into that game with a spoiler alert section went, oh, wow, Andy Reid did this multiple times. I went for it on fourth down, and they got the touchdowns, and that's what kept them in this game was the to quote another head coach, no risk it, no biscuit mentality. It was a good game. But then when they can't, I think the big play of the game, right, the thing that changed the tides was that 3rd and 15 late in the game. Pat Mahomes throws like a 60-yard bomb to Tyreek Hill,
wide open, by the way,
who's just streaking down the. He goes.
He ran like a hook, like he ran the middle of the field and cut to the corner, and he was wide open.
And Jimmy Ward bit on it, and he went down, and then all of a sudden, Tyreek Hill's wide open.
Yeah, wide open.
And by the way, Pat Mahomes on that play is like 70 yards. Like, I saw Pat Mahomes take like the normal like 10-yard drop back and then goes back another 10 yards. I'm like, oh, this is gonna end horribly.
Oh yeah.
And then just launches it.
And he didn't even take
like,
a step forward. He launched. He just back foot launched it. That's the most amazing thing about it. And 70 yards. Now it's funny for me because like you said with Andy Reid, his normal mentality is he doesn't go for it. I don't know if Andy Reid was watching Doug Peterson recaps or because Doug Peterson one of his coaches on the squad, but he channels in Doug Peterson. He's revved up.
But even if you watch the game this year, it was like he called up Doug Peterson. Like, listen, you've been to a Super Bowl, you won one. Give me a tip on this one.
And
go for it.
Go for a fourth down. Yeah.
That's exactly what happened. He called up Doug Peterson. Doug Peterson, let me take the role. I'll dress up as you. I'll wear my Andy Reid costume.
It was amazing watching Reid take these gambles and these risks, especially that fourth down, like the in-sync dance they did. Well, they did like they lined up, they spun around and ran like a 50s tailback, inside play. I don't know. You know the terminology better than I would.
Some of these plays were amazing, not only that, but Damian Williams put it on this game.
Yes,
the guy
he
who was like for nothing like fee, and he got them into the red zone. He got him a touchdown. He's just going all over the place. And then again, like Tyreek Hill blew up the game.
Yes.
And then there was one play I'm watching. Travis Kelce could have went an extra yard to go ahead and
my third quarter. I literally got up. No, it was fourth quarter. I sat at my bed. I was like, Kelce, what the are you doing? You are kidding me here. You have the yard right in front of you. Why are you taking a step back to get 3? Just get the first down and go back to the huddle.
Exactly. He just had a lunge forward.
That's it.
But then the next play, he gets the yardage and they just hand it off to him. Like, oh, we got this giant tight end
he
here.
ran in and was like, I got the first down. Don't worry about it. I'm like, whoa. Some cojones. Now, it's funny thing what you said, Damian Williams. I think the best play he had was that one too.
He had a reception where he kept in bounds and kept moving forward.
Yes, and scored. I think the biggest play would help spring them alive. I think it was when they was 20. The touchdown they got 24-20. He better blitz pickup.
Yes.
And he nailed. I think he nailed the safety coming in that blitz, which gave Mahomes that time to throw the Sammy Watkins, which beat Sherman on that coverage. I was like, that's one hell of a play.
Speaking of Watkins had some good plays in this game too. I've been like, where's Watkins been? I forget Watkins is on this team, and all of a sudden they call Sammy Watkins. I'm like, oh, there's Sammy Watkins.
Yeah.
Beat Sherman on a play or two.
Yeah.
He does well. It was funny. I didn't hear anything from McCole Hardman.
No.
Or except he was on the return, so at least you saw him.
But he got the
Robinson
wind knocked out
was
of him.
nowhere though.
No, they didn't call his number. No, they didn't call his number. McCole Hardman, he got knocked the wind out of him one series. And I was like, woo, I don't think he's going to get back up with that one. But he got back and came back in the game. But, overall, this was one of the best Super Bowls I saw in a long time.
Yeah.
It was pretty evenly matched until, that fourth quarter of who's going to step up big. Because that's what it ended up coming down to. Who's going to step up? Who's going to make the plays?
And who has the better quarterback?
Yeah, better quarterback play.
And not only that, but like Pat Mahomes was not the best quarterback.
No, he was
for
not.
all three quarters in the beginning.
He was not.
That last quarter, though, he just went, "I'm going to be Pat Mahomes." Goes, turns it on, and gets the ball where it needs to be.
And
unfortunately, Jimmy Garoppolo was not able to overcome. He had 2 interceptions
late.
Yeah,
but credit to San Fran, they kept at it because they were in this guy's face all night long. Nick Bosa, I think, had on 30% of the plays. He was getting back there, causing pressures, hits. He got a sack. Did he get a sack on him?
No, I think he had 10 pressures. He didn't get a single sack.
He caused a fumble.
He did cause the fumble.
So he was eating Eric Fisher's lunch money. And I'm looking at Eric Fisher, and they're keeping you on no man's land. But Eric Fisher, you're holding the fort. You just give him that much little time to help with Patrick Mahomes getting wide open. But whew. It was one hell of a game.
Yeah. And again, like that offensive line was having issues with that D-line.
Oh, yeah. That D-line
Armstead was at him. Bosa was at him. The only guy who held up really well on the offensive line was Mitchell Schwartz holding up against D Ford.
Yes.
And D Ford might be the weakest link on that D-line, to be honest. So, but you saw Armstead even coming in at D end at some points. Yes. It was a rough go for it. And then, again, Sherman had a hard time covering, some of the faster receivers on that team. It was, I think defensively, both teams. Actually, I think the big thing here is Kansas City's defense holding up really well.
Yeah.
Holding up really well against the 49ers and their prolific running game. Because, again, even when they got good runs, right, a lot of their runs are from the receiver, from Deebo Samuel.
Deebo Samuel was eating people's lunch money. He was just unstoppable. They just had no answer for him. And even during him catching, too, he was doing phenomenally well, too. So it's like...
And then he went quiet towards the second half, and I think that also didn't help either.
No, it didn't help. But Monster, he was eating people's lunch. San Fran couldn't have had a better team in the Super Bowl than all the teams who've been there, besides John Montana, of course.
Yeah.
But they played well. It's just that one team had a better player than everybody else, and they had no answer for this guy. None. Didn't matter how many times people in his face, he dropped back, step up in the pocket, not even doesn't take that off a yard. Boom, I got you. And they just couldn't keep up with this guy, man.
It's hard to take down Mahomes, and they have the weapons surrounding them. And then not only that, like I said before, both defenses showed up. Now we're going to get into the future of these two teams.
Oh, yes, we are.
And so, again, Kansas City won. 49ers, I think 49ers will be back.
Yes.
I think they're going to be one of those teams that we're going to be talking about for a while.
I told my friend who was a 49ers friend, because, I didn't do a friendly wager in this game because it was really hard. It was a pick 'em. Basically, it was like up to the time.
It was -1 or -1.5 for Kansas City. It wasn't, and then also the over was the over under was like 52.5.
Yeah, so you really
and it came in under.
Yeah, if you bet under, you're jumping for joy right now.
Yeah,
because I thought the score would be 45-30. I think 38. I told you when we predicted. I thought Casey would score at least 45 points, and Sam was bludgeoned to death, but he's scoring 35 or more. But it didn't. It was under. Who knows?
Close. I was 1 point under.
Oh yeah.
You were sweating bullets because you're like, just please don't get another touchdown. Please don't get another touchdown. If you bet the under.
Yeah, but one hell of a game. I told news people this. I think whoever would have lost the Super Bowl next year would have come back and win it. So I think San Fran next year, they learn from what they learned from this year. They're gonna retool, come back, and I think they're gonna come back stronger. And they're gonna do what they're gonna do. They're gonna run through everybody next year, literally.
And again, like they're going to keep the same system. They're not really losing a lot of major coaches either. Like there's questions as to whether Robert Saleh was going to get poached for a head coaching division position. They didn't lose him. Neither team's really losing a lot of major position coaches, which is I think part of it is a lot of teams want to go ahead and get their assistant coaches away before the Super Bowl.
Yes,
you have Senior Bowl a week or two ago. So a lot of teams want to go ahead and get everything settled up. I know the Browns are sealing the defensive backs coach, Joe Woods. I don't know if he's a defensive backs coach or linebackers coach for them. I think he's the DB coach and also passing game coordinator for the 49ers. He's going to be the new D coordinator for the Browns, rumored anyway. I don't think they've officially announced it. Both these teams have a lot of don't have a lot of money actually.
No, they're tied up.
Before we get into the future though, what do you think about Jimmy Garoppolo as a quarterback?
I think I'm not going to say he did a bad job. I'm not going to say he choked. I'm going to chalk it up to good coaching because Spags saw something, and because the pressure of Patrick Mahomes, the San Fran got scared. They got rattled.
Yeah.
San Fran did what Tennessee did 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago during the AFC
Championship. Yeah, like they
you're
tried
up. There's no need to change the formula. If you're running the ball and you're successful, just keep running the ball. I don't care if this guy's breathing on my neck. I'm not going to. No. You stick to what got you there. And they changed it up at the wrong time. Dude, like I said, you had a 94% chance winning within 9 minutes of a fourth quarter. Why are you doing something different than what you've been doing all season long? Beats me.
And also, again, like running it would have taken time off the clock.
Yes, exactly.
And that's what they were really playing against at that point in time.
It's not like, you were up 20-10 in the fourth quarter. So it's not like they were 20-18 where, okay, I might want to take a running. No, or passing play here or there. You're up. Just run the ball. Eat the clock. That's all you got to do.
And they had a successful run game, too.
Yes,
it wasn't like you were not successful. Just run it till you can't run it no more.
There you go. That's the point. Run it till they stop you.
Exactly.
Or until you can't run no more. They were running it, then they'll kill him on play action. Jimmy G was eating them alive with that play action pass throughout the whole entire game. So I'm like, there's no point now you're going to drop back and... No, don't do that. Just run the ball.
Jimmy G did have one really good pass, and
Yes.
unfortunately, it was called back for pass interference.
Yes, against Kittle ended the first half.
Yeah, the OPI.
That was when the first time when they took a knee because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How'd you feel about that call? Because that was an interesting call.
It was a ticky-tack, but watching the replay,
It was-
you kind of got your arms extended too far away.
It was
if
a push-off.
Yeah, if it was a little nudge, yeah, but you just went full, WWE, get off of me, and yeah, you got caught with that one.
Yeah.
Overall, the refs, they let them play in this game.
Yes.
I love that the fact the refs didn't really call nothing ticky-tack. They let them play, and I can't ask anything more of just go out there, you play your best, and call it as it is, and they did that. So I love that because there's a couple of times where both quarterbacks are getting hit in the face mask, and that's Tom Brady. If you breathe on him wrong, you're gonna get a charge, a call for that. If you whoosh your hand in front of his face like that, you're gonna get a little penalty. But no, Mahomes had his helmet grabbed. He had his self blast when he slid, and that ball popped out. I'm like,
that one I was shocked. He got lucky that it went
yeah.
out of bounds because that would have been a pain in the ass trying to recover that one.
Shoot, who you telling? I thought that they're going to call a flag for that one. I'm like, you're hitting this guy when he's sliding, but they let him play. So overall, refs did a fantastic job.
Yes,
fantastic job. I don't have anything against with the Kittle one, but overall, great job.
Where do you think Jimmy Garoppolo is in the hierarchy of quarterbacks?
He's in the top 15.
15?
I'm not going to put him in the bottom 15, the top of the 15. Now, does he slide in top 10? You got Mahomes number 1. You got that boy Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson. You got Russell Wilson. That's 4. Then you got from 5th and beyond, Drew Brees maybe.
I think Drew Brees still has it if he's not retiring. Yeah, that's the other question.
You got Brees. You got Aaron Rodgers. So that's where it's 6 right now, right? Somewhere in that realm, top 6. So Jimmy G might be top 10 in that category right there.
I think he's top 15. I don't know if he's well. Again, it comes down to where's Tom Brady? If Tom Brady comes back, if he's playing for the Patriots next year, Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins or Jimmy Garoppolo?
I'm gonna go with Jimmy G.
All right, Matt Ryan.
Ooh, boy. Again, I would go with Jimmy G.
Deshaun Watson.
Watson does less with more.
It's true. Although having Hopkins is amazing.
Oh yeah, it is.
I think he's done better with a worse head coach.
Yeah. And now your head coach is your GM. So good luck with that, Texans, with trying to figure that one out.
That's a headache and a half. That's not an episode I'm looking forward to. Is doing the Texans going forward, right? The Texans going forward. You have nothing, and you also have Bill O'Brien in perpetuity. Pretty much.
Trading away your first round picks for what? For the next what? How many more years?
2 years, I think. Yeah, because they traded away Laramie Tunsil. The 2 picks for Laramie Tunsil, 2 first rounders.
Good luck.
And they didn't even sign to a long-term deal.
No,
so that's going to be the next.
You're just basically
headache.
playing CeeLo, trying to figure out if he's going to stay or not. Good luck.
Carson Wentz or Jimmy G?
Ooh, I'm going to go with Wentz because Wentz was an MVP candidate at one point in time.
Yeah, I'm going with Wentz. I think Wentz gets had less. Even when you look at this year, right?
Yeah.
Had less to play with.
Oh yeah, he had a bunch of second and third stringers playing.
He had a guy who was a practice squad guy being his leading receiver for a couple of games. He had a rough go with it. So I'm going to go with Wentz on that.
Yes.
Jared Goff or Jimmy G?
I'm going to go with Jimmy G again because I think with Goff, you're a systems player. And when it came to put up and shut up time, Goff chokes it away. So no, I'm gonna go with Jimmy G with that one.
All right. Because I think there's an argument that both Jimmy G and Goff kind of have the same advantages. That they are both kind of in good systems.
Yes.
And we haven't seen the full failing of the Kyle Shanahan system like we saw with Goff. And it just kind of like where you see it going forward. So I might argue that I don't know. I think maybe because we've seen more success I don't know. We've seen success from both of these guys.
Yes, we have.
We've seen both of them get to Super Bowls and not make it all the way. We've seen them both be in this kind of play action-y system, which benefits those quarterbacks.
Have outstanding running backs too, running back play.
Exactly. And we've seen them do really well when the offensive line is doing really well. I want to see what happens if Jimmy G doesn't have as good of an offensive line.
Well, hey, look.
We might not see that anytime soon.
No, that's not going to happen.
But I think those are comparable guys. I think him and Kirk, those guys are all comparable. And I don't know, the guys from the last couple of drafts, I'm not ready to pull them into the conversation as far as that goes. With,
No, they're not there yet. Not the Darnolds, the Bakers, none of those guys.
Yeah, and it's also they've had some murky situations for some of those players.
I'm not even getting to the Jets or the Browns.
Yeah.
You did that in one podcast already as it is. So
yeah, we already did the Jets. So we'll go into the future. Do we think both these teams have $20 million in cap space about estimated?
Really?
Yeah. Each of it's kind of strange. Like they're both very similar teams as far as roster construction and also the amount of money. I think that the Chiefs have more leaving in free agency.
Yes.
They have Claiborne, Breland.
You should keep.
Chris
Claiborne,
Jones.
I don't care for. Chris Jones, you should keep him too because he was batting those passes down.
Yeah, Kendall Fuller. I think Kendall Fuller is walking.
Oh man, that's another one. He's a good starting cornerback. But Breland, he did his thing. And besides, Breland came from Washington.
Yeah.
Played very well in Washington when they had what's the guy? I keep trying to blank. That came over there from the Carolina Panthers.
Josh Norman?
Yes, Josh Norman there. And I thought Breland was better than Norman.
Yeah, I think so too. I think Norman benefited from being in the Panthers setup. And at one point he was a good shutdown corner for about a year and a half.
That was it. And the flame went out.
Yeah. But hey, he got paid. That's all we got to look forward to for that. Is he got paid.
Get your money.
Exactly. With the Chiefs, a lot of corners leaving and not a lot of money to pay them. They have 2 star players that are coming up on contract, right? They got Chris Jones who can leave this year, Pat Mahomes, right? You got to pay Pat Mahomes.
You know, it's funny when it comes to Pat Mahomes. You're looking at probably another $200 million guy right there.
Yeah.
Something
he's going to be breaking the bank.
Because
better to pay him now than later.
You can't hold this guy back anymore longer. You got to pay him. Now, if I'm Pat Mahomes, I wish this camera could zoom when I say this. Do not break the bank because you see what happens with teams when they pay one player too much and you're left with scrap for the others. If I'm Pat Mahomes, I'm going to try to take a team-friendly deal, not be the best paid quarterback overall, but somewhere in the top 10, top 5 maybe, somewhere in there.
Yeah, there's not really a good argument as far as why he shouldn't get paid a lot of money.
Yeah, he should get paid.
Because even if you look at the teams with the most amount of money allocated to their quarterbacks, the cap goes up every year pretty much now.
Yes, it does.
Like, it hasn't been as stagnant as it was, like, say, 10, 15 years ago. You're coming up on a new CBA, so that might change some things, especially as how far as money gets allocated to players. And 50% of the league is on rookie contracts.
Yes.
So less than $1 million contracts. Like, that's half the league. So as long as your team is good at drafting and finding guys and getting guys on good veteran contracts.
Like Terrell Suggs, which he picked up
when
he got cut by Arizona.
As long as you're able to find guys like that, then I don't see it being a problem when he gets paid. I just think you have to kind of keep it being in mind of, hey, going forward, we do have to pay this guy. And, Chris Jones has been really good this year, but we don't have a lot of money to pay Chris Jones. Now, they have one player that actually can clear up some space, and it was the guy who we were talking about earlier, Sammy Watkins. Right? $21 million cap hit this year. If they cut him, they save $14 million.
Can he restructure his deal if he wanted to?
He could. That's always a possibility.
Okay.
It's do they want him? Like, how much is he restructuring it for? Is he going to get paid to be the third receiver on the team? Because it's essentially what he is at this point.
Yes.
Like, even when Tyreek Hill went down, Sammy Watkins was not the star of the team.
No.
So
Mecole Hardman and those other guys came through and
yeah, so and then Travis Kelce's a major star on the team. So I don't know if they even want to keep him. Maybe they restructure the deal again. Like it comes down to what he wants and what they want. I think that's really the major guy they can cut. Now that would only get them about in like some safe range of like high 27s. That's really just the amount to pay Chris Jones. That still leaves you without Rashad Breeland, without Morris Claiborne. You're gonna have to find some ways to work around that.
Wait, do you say Morris Claiborne?
Yeah, he was on the team.
Question. So Morris Claiborne got a ring before the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, well, I was not unexpected, to be honest. Somebody was bound to pick him up and play him. I think he's a decent corner. So.
Boy, I can never leave a show without talking about the Cowboys. You suck. Just want to say that. So, not the organization, the fans. I hate the fans.
Yes, no, the fans are very
annoying.
Yes,
very annoying.
So they're losing a lot of defensive backs. I think that's going to be how they spend their first round pick, right?
Oh yeah. You gotta get somebody.
They got to get some defensive backs. They had Juan Thornhill. He got injured. He'll be back some point next year, although he got injured late in the year, coming off an ACL tear. Maybe he starts the year out on the PUP. They also had Tyrann Mathieu. He played really well this year.
Oh man, how long is his contract for?
He just signed last year, so I think they have him. They're good with him.
Okay. They should keep
but
him
you need
too.
the rest of the defensive pieces back there. He's great. You need more. Chris Jones, again, I want them to re-sign him. I think anybody and he wants to be back there. He's a guy who, played really well. He got a lot of the push from the interior for them. Mm-hmm. They have Frank Clark. That he didn't play as well as most people probably thought he was going to play this year.
They should have kept D4, if anything.
Yeah, I think they thought of it as a scheme thing or whatever, but I thought D4 played better than Frank Clark this year. Granted, over the longevity of their careers previous to this point, I think the argument would have been the other way. Okay. Like, Frank Clark's been better the last 4 years.
He came from Seattle.
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
So D Ford had maybe, one good year and a half of good years up to this point, coming into a contract year. I don't know. I get their reasoning. Like, they're like, you know what, we upgraded. We got Frank Clark. We got a second rounder for D Ford. Mm-hmm. So I think they saw value in it. It was kind of funny that they were playing their old guy on the other side.
That was funny. And he didn't really do anything much for that. Like you said, he was the weakest link for that defensive line.
Yeah. So,
sorry, D Ford.
They have all their picks for the first 5 rounds. They don't have the last couple of rounds. That's usually not that big of a deal. Usually those go in pick swaps or you're trading away players. They're picking end of the first round. So there's going to be a lot of, it's a very deep corner class this year. Mm-hmm. So
that was my phone.
All right, good. I was like, what's going on? Yeah. Deep corner class might get a guy like Gladney who might fall. Fulton from LSU. Mm-hmm. I doubt they're getting Okudah, who's going to be probably taken in the top 10 picks, if not top 5.
In case a lot of things can happen in the draft, my friend. So make sure you tread lightly.
Yes. Hey, you never know what comes out of
Jeremy Tunsil.
You never know what happens with trades too.
Yeah, that too.
They might trade down. They might trade out. They might trade a second or third rounder for a guy in the late stage of his career. Mm-hmm. Some guys might be coming free who might be lesser, maybe like guys who are coming off of bad years or something. So they definitely have some opportunity. They really don't have a lot of money, so they're gonna have to take some shots on some guys.
Okay, so you said earlier, you think Chris Jones is the most important player they should keep.
Yes, as far as on the defensive side.
Who else on that defensive side you think is just as important as Chris Jones, or there isn't anybody else at all?
As important as Chris Jones, I don't think there's. I think because he's going to eat probably about $20 million of cap right there. So you're probably not signing anybody to the same kind of deal that you're signing him. Breeland played well this year. I think they should try to keep one of the corners in there for the defense.
I think they should keep Breeland because he got the pick. Yeah, and he played lights out throughout the whole entire game. For me.
But again, and Fuller's leaving. Fuller was a guy who they traded for.
He came from Chicago?
Am I confused? Washington.
Okay.
Yeah,
he's another Washington guy.
They're all there's a bunch of Fullers in the NFL. It's all Fuller. It's Fuller House actually.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on a Netflix show. This is all corners all over the place named Fuller. If you were drafting a Fuller, you have a good shot of them being a good corner.
Family lineage name?
I guess. They're not even all related either. They're just a bunch of Fullers.
Fullers just out there?
Yeah, it's all Fullers. There's going to be one team eventually. So all our defensive backs are Fuller. Where they eat too much? Like, yeah, they're Fuller.
Yeah.
So we're going to have I think that team's going to be an interesting one. They're losing a lot of pieces. But it's also a good defensive back draft. Maybe they draft another safety. There's a couple guys, Ashton Davis, Xavier McKinney. So guys who might be towards the first round might fall the second round range. I think that Passanio played really well, played better this year, starting to develop, come on. Frank Clark, maybe we see a second step forward. Tyrann Mathieu played well, I think.
He did a fantastic job. And one thing I did love what Tyrann Mathieu did during the game, I think it was the fourth quarter, he was on that sideline fired up, going after everybody to dig a little deeper into yourself because it's amazing of how much they trust this Patrick Mahomes guy because they know if you can keep it just enough.
Well, we saw it in the Texans game.
Yeah, but still.
They're down 24 points, and it's like,
It's
we cannot let this go on. We need to, come on, really? Pat Mahomes walks up there, are we really going to lose like this? Really? And then just goes, and they dominate for the rest of the game.
But, but Super Bowl. It's a Super Bowl.
Yes.
And he's on the sideline. Yo, just keep at it. He's going after Coach Spagnuolo. Like, yo, he's in his ear. It's in everybody's ear. And they rose to the occasion.
I think Spags, man, I think that was a good hire.
You know what's funny? I was tormenting them because I'm like, you should have picked Rex Ryan. That's what I thought. They should have went for a defensive corner. But then, doing a little research, I found that Spags is one of the coaches under the Andy Reid coaching tree. So it made sense why he brought him back.
Connections, yeah.
Yeah, so now you see with Spags and Bieniemy, and there's a lot of coaches that Randy Reid once had with the Doug Petersons, the Sean McDermotts, who's in the Buffalo Bills. A lot of coaches came through him, and I'm like, wow, I didn't know that. I didn't know that his coaching tree was just.
He's been around for 20-something years.
Yeah,
eventually you probably run into him.
Yeah.
Belichick, and Belichick usually doesn't let people walk, though. Maybe every once in a while you run into a Zimmer or something else.
Yeah.
Marvin Lewis, another guy who has a lot of guys throughout the NFL that
Yes.
there's just like connections to, and he just lost all of them. It was Jay Gruden and Hugh Jackson. And
Zimmer, too.
Zimmer.
Yeah. So
that's what made me think it was the Zimmer thought. I'm like,
Yeah.
you probably run into him.
So I didn't like it, but watching him coach, not this season, but this postseason, where things matter. Just scrap the regular season record away, because I know they said that they were the 26th ranked defense, 8th in pass, and dead last in rushing. Scrap it. The man can coach.
Yes, he game planned, and he
game
used what he
well.
had.
Yes, and you can't ask more for a head coach or a coach to just plan accordingly and do what needs to be done, and he did it. 3 games in a row.
And I think no matter what, they're definitely returning to the playoffs next year.
Oh, yeah. They're going to come back.
Especially when you look at their division, the AFC West.
Who's in their way going to stop them?
Oakland?
No
the Chargers?
No disrespect to the Las Vegas Raiders.
I think Denver's got the best shot to be, and I don't even know who their coach. Drew Lock is that? I guess.
Don't disrespect Drew Lock. I like him.
We'll see what happens.
I like him. Drew Luck, you have the unlimited barbecue passes to black community barbecues everywhere because he is just hood as anybody can be, and I love it. But Spags, he's one hell of a defensive coach, and that's all you should be, because you and I once said that you got some coaches who are just better as coordinators, and he's one of those.
Yes, he's definitely better as a coordinator. Yes. And I liked what he did when he was on the Giants as the coordinator. So.
Yeah, he got him 2 rings. What can you ask for?
And he came and helped get them a ring this time.
There you go.
So so we think they're going to be back. They're going to be. They're definitely going to be a playoff team.
Oh yeah, there'll be another 12-4 bad. I think 11-5 worse at best. 14-2, 15-1. Not 16-0. No.
So let's get into the team that didn't win, the Niners, and their future. Because, again, another team has $20 million in cap space, not a lot to use.
They're losing a lot of players.
They're losing a lot of players. They have Eric Armstead, who's potentially leaving in free agency. It's almost kind of like their version of Chris Jones, another big weapon that they have. Now, they also have DeForest Buckner, who I think you heard a lot less of this year than you heard of Armstead. Armstead was just playing lights out.
Who was their 5th guy on the line that was rotation in?
Solomon Thomas?
Yes, it was a low draft pick. He was
a top 3 pick.
No, there was a guy on their D line that was a low draft pick.
Oh, I know who.
He's an interior guy who plays amazingly well for them too. So if you lose Armstead, you could put him in the spot. Yeah,
and I think that's probably what they're going with here.
Yeah.
Probably going to risk losing him in free agency. Bosa's played amazing for them.
Yes, he has. Yes, he has. Let me tell you something. That Bosa kid, he is the real deal.
Yes, he's a dangerous defensive end.
Listen, San Fran, if you're gonna have to eventually win it before he's up to get paid, because he gonna want his money.
Yep.
The kid produces in his rookie season, mind you.
Yes, he's gonna probably be one of the top 5 DN. He's gonna be the number 1 paid DN at some point.
Oh yeah, at some point. So you got to do it now. Now's the time. Because how long is his rookie deal for? 4 years or 3 years?
4 years plus a 5th-year option. So they got time. They got time with Bosa. I think their bigger question is, they got D Ford, who played well this year. He didn't again. I think he benefited from that as a good D line, and again, he didn't beat up on as many people as you saw Bosa beat up on.
No, Bosa was just. Didn't matter what side of the ball.
And Armstead, too. Armstead was just brutalizing people.
Yeah, it didn't matter what side of the ball Bosa was on. He was just taking lunch money and eating it. So, D Ford, I'm sorry. You did well, but you let the kid outshine you. So I don't know how long you're going to be there for.
Yeah,
Good luck.
And then they also have safety Jimmy Ward again coming up as a free agent. I feel like safeties get undervalued on defense.
Oh yeah, a lot.
They are basically the running back version of the defense, except not for nothing. Some teams actually prefer good safety play.
Yes.
Like it's kind of like that's one of those things that's more scheme specific.
Just ask the Steelers when they got Fitzpatrick.
Or ask Bill Belichick on how Devin McCourty loves safeties like that. Not for nothing, I think Belichick's done the thing of paying attention to the guys who play the best at the lesser loved positions. Again, I think there is a value to certain positions that are undervalued. So, for instance, safety and guard are usually undervalued, but if you pay up and have the elite versions of those players, like if you have a great interior, it might help your tackles a little bit.
Yep.
Same thing with great safeties help fix problems with your corners. This was actually Seattle's thing. Have good safety play, and basically we run this cover 3 system, and it'll help balance it out. So they're losing Jimmy Ward again, or we don't know what's going to happen with him. Maybe he comes back on a 1-year deal again.
He'll resign. He'll do that.
He played well for him. They also got a lot of, they drafted pretty well with the safeties as well. They got guys in that room. I think their bigger question is corner.
Corner, what were the linebackers? Because Quan Alexander did well all season, and Super Bowl time I didn't see you.
Well, he was also injured for a good part of the season.
And that's normal for him, by the way.
Injured, and then actually, I remember watching this game. His big question coming out of Tampa, missed tackles. He missed a couple of tackles in this game. So, San Fran, you also got another big problem, San Fran. You only have 1 pick in the first 4 rounds. That affects things. Like, you got to find either ways of getting more picks or trading down, or you got to make sure you hit on that first-round pick.
And this is the thing why I hate when teams trade away the future for now. Because you can hurt yourself if you don't win it all.
Yeah.
Just ask the LA Rams.
They still keep doing it, so I don't know. LA Rams, they seem to go, you know what? We don't need a future in draft. We'll just go ahead and trade our picks for everything.
Oh my gosh, that guy, wow, those teams. So
I will say this:
they have their core intact,
yes,
on both sides of the ball. So that's a plus. But you still want to get better and improve every year. So.
And then they also have Joe Staley, who might be retiring soon.
No,
so
don't retire.
Replace him.
Don't retire. I hope not. Don't retire yet.
So you do need a left tackle to come in, or if you're going to switch McGlinchey to the left side, a right tackle. Either way, you need to kind of bolster up your O-line and some of your depth there. They're probably going to have to pay George Kittle in the future.
Yes, they do.
The one thing they have going for them is Jimmy G is not on a big contract. He's like on a 25. When you compare that to the other quarterbacks in the league, like he's $25 million is not much anymore.
No, not at all. Not when these guys are getting 30.
QB inflation is a real thing, folks.
Indeed it is.
And they got him at the right time.
Yes, they did.
So
for a second-round pick.
And how much longer is Richard Sherman going to play? How much longer is he going to be able to maintain his level of play? And we've seen like him kind of get beat by some guys. Like he's good. And by the way, he's had some great games. He's had some elite games. But they're losing Emmanuel Mosley, the corner on the other side, a younger guy who played really well and actually outplayed Akilla Witherspoon, the guy who was projected to be the starter coming in. So you're losing a guy there. You're losing Ward. I think it's clear they might cut McKinnon because,
Oh, there's no need for you anymore. I'm sorry.
They have like 5 running backs who play that position pretty damn well.
You got guys who came off the street and, put some work in. So, McKinnon, you're out there, buddy. Goodbye.
And Buckner and Ford are on deals that don't have a lot of guaranteed money. So they were looking to get rid of them. They can. I don't think they do because they've been very good players.
Yes,
you want to keep good.
You want to keep your good line play. Good line play. It does help your back end, and it proved this year for that squad.
Yes. Juszczyk has a team option coming up. And his is a pretty hefty option too.
Really?
Yeah, it's a $6.7 million option. So
just bite it.
Yeah,
he played well for you. He got you 2 scores.
Yeah, he's a great player. He's bringing back the fullback love.
Yes. He's like the Taysom Hill of their squad. If you know what I mean by Taysom Hill from
they're the Saints. The Saint people.
Yeah. So,
yes. The team that wasn't in the Super Bowl.
That squad 3 years in a row. I don't know how much more can you take.
Well, we'll see what happens with Breeze.
Don't retire, Drew.
Don't.
Please.
It'd just be a sad league without Drew Brees too.
Because if I gotta hear another Tom Brady situation again, I'm gonna puke on my feet. So don't retire just yet. When Brady's retired, then that's when you retire. How about that?
That's fair. I think it's a fair request. I don't know if he's going to follow through with that, but because Tom Brady might not retire till he's 92. So at the rate that Tom Brady goes,
They're going to push him out the door.
So I think San Fran, I think they have a harder time getting back to the playoffs.
Really?
Out of these two teams, who do you think has a harder time getting back?
Because the NFC is a stronger division by far than the AFC.
A stronger conference.
Yes,
Yeah, the
stronger
whole conference is good.
So
and then the
you're
NFC
right.
West is a great division.
You are right that the NFC is much harder, but like I said earlier, I really and truly think that the loser of the Super Bowl is going to win it next year. I think San Fran learned what they learned.
To adapt.
Yeah, and they're going to win it. I think San Fran's winning next year. So 49ers fans, don't give up hope. I think you have a rock solid team. You guys are going to be in the mix of things next year, and you might win it next year. I personally believe, because in that division, yeah, you get the Seahawks, but how much longer can they do this with Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll?
I don't know, but he seems to do it really well. And not only that, Arizona gave him some problems last year. So
Yeah,
Arizona figures out how to take a step forward. Well, then we'll see something, right?
Yeah, and then you got the Rams, who have nothing for the next couple of years. Well, those big contracts. So I think the San Francisco 49ers are in good hands for the foreseeable future. They're going to win it within the next 2-3 years, I personally believe. Maybe next year, maybe another 2 years. I don't know. AFC, Kansas City, Baltimore. They got to deal with. You're going to have to deal with Steelers, Pittsburgh when they come back. You're going to have to deal with New England.
I think Big Ben's done. I think that Tommy John's going to take him out.
Really?
I don't think he comes back the same guy. But
We'll
I don't know.
see.
We'll see what happens with that one.
Because Tommy John's surgery for pitchers takes a little velocity out the ball. So you might be right with that one.
Yeah.
This might be the injury. You might just say, okay, you put him out pasture and let him walk off into the sunset, because you did say that, Tommy John. I forgot about that, by the way.
Yeah, that UCL, like that. And he had the different part of the ligament than, say, Breeze had. Breeze had the part that was, like, down here. He had a
His
way.
elbow.
Yeah, his is way worse. His was a year out.
Whew.
And, again, I don't know.
He did terrible in the postseason, too, so maybe he should have left earlier.
He's been taking a little bit of a slide, so not for nothing. I really not quite sure if Ben Roethlisberger really ever returns to form, and I don't know. I think that's a team that they need a quarterback soon, and I don't know if they're getting one. Maybe they take Fromm in the second round this year.
Well, like your boy Bill Parcells says, if you have two in anything, you have nothing.
Anyway, so congrats Kansas City.
Yes.
Sorry San Francisco.
We didn't say if Kansas City would come back. I didn't have any other. Do you have any other teams?
I think Kansas City's going to have an easier time coming back, just because AFC's way, look at the way AFC's been for the last, even 2 decades. It's been the same team.
The same teams, yeah.
The same quarterbacks, the same
keeps
teams.
coming back over and over again.
So AFC, I think it's a lot easier for a team to stay dominant, like you see it with the Patriots, and I think it's going to be the same thing. I think Kansas City.
You're going to start a dynasty?
I don't think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be as
New England like.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be as New England-y like, because you will see. I mean, let me put it this way. I think Pat Mahomes is like where we were with Aaron Rodgers a few years ago, where they're just so lights out good. You could almost put less around him, and he'll still make it very, very far.
Yes, yeah.
So
you're
imagine
right.
if Aaron Rodgers was in the AFC and the AFC at all.
Whoo, boy,
that changes things.
Yes, it does. Because you don't have to go to the gauntlet of Seattle, San Fran, your own division with the Vikings and Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
I hate to bring these Dallas and the Eagles and those teams out in the NFC. The record may say they may be losers, but they don't. They play hard.
Yeah.
The Carolinas, Saints. There's a lot of teams out there in the NFC that can get in your way. So yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the top teams in the AFC that stay top.
Yes.
So I think that is a possibility. We see how long Andy Reid stays coaching.
You think he's done after this?
No, not this year. I don't think
retire. I said there's no way he's retiring this.
Nah, well, we see coaches last a really long time,
Yeah.
and he's been a coach for a while, and I think
for 20 years.
Yeah,
20 years the guy's been coaching, and think about the quarterbacks he had along the way: the Mike Vicks, Donovan McNabbs, Alex Smiths, Pat Mahomes, numerous guys, and he made them all successful. So he might be the quarterback whisperer that you need.
Exactly. So I think Andy Reid stays for a few more years. I don't think he's gone yet.
No.
But I don't think it's like when we saw Bill Belichick and just go 20 years of a dynasty. I think it's going to be a little bit less of that and more of like a Packers kind of thing.
Like a 10 years or something like that?
Well, because other teams are going to catch up eventually, I think, in the AFC. I think it's going to be a lot like the Packers, where it's going to be you're going to constantly see them in the playoffs. But if they don't upgrade at certain things, if they don't get better at certain things, I don't think it's going to be a repeat occurrence. Especially once you pay Pat Mahomes.
Yes, that's the key. As I'm like, Pat Mahomes, listen, don't overtake the market. I know you want to reset the market. I know that they're willing to do it. If I'm you, I don't do it. You got to pay other people.
I think no matter what, that change in value of how much you're paying him, whether it's $5 million, because you're going from the rookie contract deal, which is not that much,
yes,
to no matter what you're paying him, it's going to be over $30 million.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's still, no matter what, that's a chunk of what it's. It's like 5-6 times of what he was already making. Probably going to make 35, almost $40 million.
He could eclipse $40 million.
So
per season. But if I'm him, I'll tell him, just give me $25 million. I'm good with that. Just take it. Don't overdo it, because if you're going to overdo it, you're going to ruin yourself. And you see what happens to teams that pay their quarterbacks and then they live with nothing. They struggle every year. Just ask the Seattle Seahawks when you had the half-yard line to run the ball in.
Well, that was another team that they could have probably established a dynasty, and they kind of lost it.
Hey.
So, again, we're gonna have to see how this goes going forward. I'm excited for 2020. Draft
next season.
Yeah, draft's gonna be interesting. It's an interesting draft, like a lot of good players. It's sad football's over for the next 7.5 months unless you want to watch the XFL.
Are you gonna go to one of their games?
Well, it's like $30, so why not, right? It's like, actually, it was $25 2 months ago, so I was a little bit like, what? It's more now? All right, I'll pay the extra $5.
Where is it? Any general seating, or is it just whatever you?
I don't know. I think it's general seating for MetLife.
Okay,
we're near MetLife, folks. If you wanted to get an idea of where the general location is, but yeah. So I think I'm excited. That's not going to tide me over though.
No,
it's nothing like NFL football.
No, it's not. Remember the AAF was American Football League. Who's running that one, by the way? Was it Polian?
Polian was involved. There's a few people involved, and that
just bombed out.
That had to do with a business investor. There's a real reason why that whole bombed out. The guy who brought in a lot of the money to invest in it bought it so he can get kind of like, it was like proprietary software that he wanted to get out of it. So he kind of bombed it from the inside out. So it's a sad story. Anyway, 2020 is going to be great.
Yes.
Congratulations, Kansas City Chiefs. Sorry, San Francisco. Thank you, Kev, for coming on.
No problem, man. It's my first time. I always wanted to be here. I just never seen them make it down here.
Yeah, and we definitely. I want to have you on way more often if you can. If you want, you can follow the podcast at Draftvice on Twitter, at Draftvice_football on Instagram. You can follow Kev at DJ Intence, right?
Yes, DJ INTNCE. I also have my own podcast, the Q&I Show. Check that out too. I think I might try to even keep you behind for some podcast thing of my own. Ooh. A little interview after this right here. So who knows? But I love, one thing I can say about you, Walter, you make me better at learning more about football because you know so much.
Oh, thank you.
Because you know so much, I just shut my mouth and listen. And I'm like a sponge. So thanks for teaching me every time. This is your realm. I'm just a good spectator of this, and what I don't know, I learn. So thank you.
And I learned from meeting and talking with a lot of people, including you. And I'm glad to have you on. I love having you on. I love hanging out with you and talking with you. And you are probably one of the most knowledgeable people I know with football. So
thank you very much.
Anyway, thanks again for coming on. And by the way, it's not DJ Intence like he goes camping outdoors, folks. It is DJ Intence like
with a C, not an S.
Yes, exactly. And if you want, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Brojo Deathpunch. That's BROJO Death. When you're not living, and punch, that thing that fighters do when they, the jab and the uppercuts. Tune back in. If you want, like it on Instagram, follow, and subscribe on YouTube and on the iTunes and on the Stitcher and on the Spotify.
Yes.
All those lovely apps. And subscribe. Subscribing is very important.
And tell your friends about this too.
That's an important thing. I never tell people to tell their friends. That's a very good hint.
Yeah, tell your friends about it.
Tell friends. Yes, we want friends.
Play in your car. Play when you're taking the train.
Working out.
Show somebody and tell them about it because this is a really good platform for football people. You learn a lot. Hence why I won my championship.
There we go.
Bye.
I woke up this morning, I was feeling pretty dangerous.
About the past and about the future.